welcome. This is my first press conference for the year. I probably didn't see many of you, so Happy New Year to those of you who I didn't have the opportunity to extend those greetings to. Um, um, I want to first of all let you know that I'm leaving the country soon to go to Cuba for the Caribbean, Latin American, the CELAC meeting, heads of government meeting. There we'll be looking at issues in relating to poverty in the region, inequality, and other issues. As you know, I think Guyana has a lot to offer at this conference because you would have seen the reports, and some of you probably reported that last year the FAO awarded Guyana and recognized Guyana as one of the 17 countries in the world that not only reached the Millennium Development Goal as far as reduction of poverty is concerned, but we also improved nutrition. So Guyana was one of only 17 countries in the world. So I think that we have a big contribution to make at the discussions. We have also to talk about inequality that exists although Latin America and the Caribbean has made tremendous progress over the last decade or so in fighting poverty and inequality. There's still a lot to be done. So these will be some of the main topics that will engage our attention when we go to Cuba in this period ahead of us. As you know too, it has been in the press reported that our country had a good year economically last year. We had a 5% increase in our GDP. It could have been much, much better, but because we face a lot of challenges, we still face a great amount of challenges. The fact that because the Amila Falls would have been about 25% of our investment, about 25% of our GDP, so that would have been extremely good for us. And you saw we have challenges too in the sense of the anti-money laundering bill. And you saw the chairman of the Citizens Bank making the statement that we have been saying from the very beginning, that this can have an impact on us. So despite the challenges, the political challenges that we face, I will say that our economy has done very, very well. The management of the economy has been extremely good, and to make those achievements despite the political challenges that we face. In going forward this year, I think that we will also meet we'll also have positive economic growth. Our economy continues to attract important investments in our society. A lot of it can be, our mining sector, as you know, has grown. Tourism has made a big contribution last year and is poised to make a big contribution this year. You saw too that some of the airlines, Copa is coming in, Intertel, I think is another one, that possibly are looking for possibilities, and other airlines. So we expect arrivals to go up, and we can probably have a more robust growth in the sector. Agriculture, with the exception of sugar, in every other area, agriculture has done extremely well, rice in particular. And infrastructure, our infrastructural work continues to move ahead. As far as this year budget is concerned, that we are still working on. I just want to say I've noticed that the APNU has taken a position that they wouldn't want to participate in the consultations, but we are still open. We have sent invitation to them that we are ready, our doors are still open for discussion. We still think that we have a lot of time for consultations. I regret the position that they have taken. That on one hand, they want to cooperate, and then on the other hand, not cooperating. When you have an open door for them to make suggestions. Last year, information was sent to them, documents were sent to them, and we're still ready to have consultations with them as far as the budget process is concerned. So this is what I would like to say at the opening here, and I'll be willing to take your questions. Yeah, Adam.
Happy New Year to you too.
Thanks.
Honorable President. Honorable President, I'd like to take you down the.
Yeah. You got a mic?
We don't want here.
No, this NCM. Yeah, Mr. President. 2013, good year economically, but there were challenges. Amida Falls would have accounted for 25% of the GDP.
Amida Falls, the investment was the total investment would have been approximately that if you had gotten that investment. What I mean is the impact of that investment would have been tremendous on the economy. It would have spawned a lot of economic activity, generally, even in this early stage. The total investment is what I was talking about, yeah.
Because the road is still not complete.
It's almost complete. The last time I checked, I hadn't the opportunity to go on the road, but as far as my last information is that they are less than 2 miles away from the road, less than 2 miles away from the falls. Let me see. I saw this young lady's hand before. Marcia.
Mr. President would have said agriculture, pointed agriculture. It's been good with the exception of sugar. What plans does the administration have to better sugar this year, or what strategies are in place for sugar?
There is a strategic plan that the cooperation has, and we are. The new CEO should be in place very soon. And there's a lot of work going on to correct some of the issues at Skeldon as we speak. Those works are going on right now to look at the Skeldon factory. And we're also looking at bringing in more skills to help in the technical area, in agriculture, and in the factory area of the field. So I think that one, we will probably correct the technical deficits that probably exist. There will be a strong focus on both the agriculture and the factory, with particularly emphasis on Skeldon.
Are you in any way looking at privatization options for any part of price control?
Well, that is not on the table at this point in time. But of course, there are many, many different things that can be done and are being done as we speak. At High Flood, for instance, more lands have been given to farmers, to people who have proven to be very good farmers. And we hope to probably increase that amount of lands in the High Flood area, because there's a tremendous shortage of labor there. Labor turnout in that area is very, very low. I suspect a lot of labor comes into going into the probably mining and the cities and so on and so forth. So those issues are being tackled, but we haven't reached that stage that you're talking about. Hopefully we won't reach there, but I am not closing my mind to anything. The most important thing is saving the industry and getting it back to make a big contribution to the development of the country.
A quick follow-up, sir. Daisuku actually started a program of mechanization. You were using mechanical harvesters. What has happened to that program?
It's still there. In fact, it's ongoing. In Skeldon, actually, the new lands that have been put in place, the fields have been all designed to be mechanical friendly to machines, machine friendly, and a lot of conversion has already taken place at Enmore. So, in that of course, the whole question of competition for labor now dictates that is a direction we have to go more and more into more mechanization than before. You know, we have been a labor-intensive industry for hundreds of years, and this is the switch we have to make at this point in time to make the industry more efficient and to move it forward. Yeah.
Yes, Samuel Sugnanan, Union News, Ghana Times. The Gaisuku board the life of the Gaisuku board was extended at least twice.
Mm.
Can you say exactly when it will be new board?
Well, as soon as we put the new CEO in place and management, because the CEO that has been identified, as you all know, is Dr. Raj Singh, who has a long experience in the industry itself. And he is the present chairman of the board. So when he switches over to the CEO, then we have to have definitely a new board, because I'm not putting an executive chairman. Yeah. Yeah, let me see this.
I want to go back to the budget preparation. This will be the third budget since the tax reform committee was formed. Could you say whether there's likely going to be an input from that committee in the budget?
I still hope so. The committee that I set up, we had also went out to a consultancy from a university abroad to do some studies on it. My information is that those studies have been done and it is with the committee. So I'll take it from there and see what happens. Hopefully that we will have some results on that.
President sir, could you be more specific as regards what Guyana will be taking to the CELAC meeting as an initiative, if at all? And can you say why government has not supplied the relevant documents to the opposition so that the budget talks can proceed? Because that has been a concern by Mr. Greenwich.
That's not my information. My information that the documents were sent to.
Budget talks?
Yes, for this year budget. The documents were sent. And not only was it sent to Mr. Greenwich, but to other members in the opposition, both parties in the opposition. So you can verify that, but I have been told by the finance minister that he had sent all the documents that they had requested of him for those things.
And your initiative going into CELAC, what will be Guyana's particular?
Oh, well, I think it's more sharing experiences. Because what initiative can I take with the whole of Latin America and the Caribbean? I think the whole question is for us to share a lot of experiences. And I would say that the social program that Guyana has been following over the many years has contributed tremendously to the fight against poverty and to the gains that we've made that I mentioned to you just now about FAO and so on and so forth. So I think we could share our experiences with each other. And what I was saying that we have things that I think people can learn from of what we have done.
If I can ask, engage you a bit more. With respect to your son, how comfortable are you with his employment in the e-governance project, particularly since it is lagging behind for some time now? And where are we with respect to the U.S. and the talks in the democracy project?
I don't think that you probably saw or read the interview that I saw in the press with my son.
What are your
I am not uncomfortable. My son was employed long before I became president, and I am very comfortable with his qualifications as well. He has a master's in mathematics and computer sciences, and I think that he's eminently qualified for his job. So I'm not uncomfortable, put it that way.
in the context of the
I don't think, well, that's what I said, that you didn't probably have a look at his interview, where he explained that the most important part of, it's two projects actually in one, and the most important project is not behind schedule, as you are saying here now. The most important project the e-governance project is not behind schedule, and it is also on budget as well. All right?
And the lead project was asking.
The what?
The lead, the democracy project. would be-
Oh, well, that is still in more or less the same as you have known before, that we have not agreed with the project, and we are saying that they should halt the project and we are willing to talk. We're not unwilling to talk, but the project should be halted. Okay. Mhm.
Mr. President, the surprise resignation of your local government minister. Were you as surprised as the rest of the nation to have received this letter of resignation? Could you say whether or not you have narrowed down anyone to take over that post?
Well, you saw his statement, his reason for his resignation, etc. I was not totally surprised at it. We talked from time to time, but I think he thought it was time for him to pursue his own issues now, and so I accepted his resignation.
Was he asked by the government, by you, sir, to resign?
I accepted his resignation.
Did you ask him to resign?
I accepted his resignation, and you read his statement. His statement his statement is what he said is what happened.
And
Can
sir,
you confirm that there were differences of opinion with respect to Mr. Prasad and the rest of senior persons in the PPP about his performance and the way?
No.
Politically,
I know that you're looking for a headline news, but no, nothing of the kind.
so you never asked
Okay.
him to resign?
He resigned, and I accepted his resignation.
And sir, the commissioner of police will be stepping down in a few months. And he said that he's ready to go when that time comes. Could you say whether or not you have decided who should next fill his shoes?
No, I haven't decided on that as yet.
Have you narrowed it down? It's just a few months away.
I haven't decided as yet. Okay.
Sir, on the talk about Mr. Ganga Prasad, it is said, sir, that you have from time to time been very hard on those ministers whom you believe were not performing in the best interest of the cabinet and in the best interest of the state. How accurate are those reports, sir?
I don't think that has anything to do with Ganga Prasad, but I'm generally, I have always been saying that we need to be more, although as I've mentioned to you just now, we have reached our targets, we've reached things. I still think that there's a lot of room for improvement, that we can do much more, that we can be much more, in many areas, we can be much more results oriented. So yes, I think we have room for greater development and increasing efficiencies and so forth. And I have always been outspoken about that in the cabinet.
And you've been pushing your ministers.
And I've been pushing in that direction all the time.
Certain agreement in Linden, the regional chairman of Region 10, Shama Solomon, has been complaining about a lot of the committees not really getting their work done, a lot of them still to begin their work. From the government's
Some of them have not even set up the committee. For instance, with the electricity rates, we can't get them to agree to a chairman itself. So it's not a one-way street here. I think in many anyway, but maybe that would be the occasion for another press conference when we talk about that. But those information are totally not true. We have been doing our best. We have agreed with their proposals about chairperson, that they have frustrated the work. Chairperson has resigned, but they have never yet agreed up to now for someone on the electricity chairpersonship. So I don't think his statements are totally correct.
And the regional chairman has called for a shutdown of the Linden community tomorrow, Saturday. If you were to say something to Lindeners right now, what would you say?
Well, I think that the people of Linden have a much better judgment than the regional chairman.
That's all you would say to them?
Yeah, that's all I will say right now. Yeah,
Sir,
go.
I had forgotten, back to agriculture. This company reopening, the Bornean, they have started operations in Kanji. I think they have $500 million investment.
They haven't started. We have
The minister said that they
that's their plans to invest that amount of money. That's the plans that they have. That is what they will do, and that's one of the areas we're looking at to new crops, so that we can broaden our economy, broaden our base, so that if we get, because you see, we are price takers in the world in agriculture in general. We don't set prices internationally. And therefore, it's important for us that if prices for one area goes down, that we can probably have prices in another area going up, and it helps in a way to immunize us from external shocks in many, many ways. So yes, we want new crops. We're looking at possibilities of oil palm, we're looking at soya, we're looking at trying to get investment in these areas, corn possibly, so that we can have other crops and we can be less dependent on single or two crops and so on and so forth.
But Mr. President, you're saying that they haven't started.
Mhm.
Minister of Agriculture said that there are over 10,000
Acres?
no,
What?
rum trees in nurseries.
In the north, well, of course, I don't think they will wait until everything is finished before they. I mean, agriculture, of course, you know, when you're doing agriculture, it's always a lag. It's always a lag time that because things have to grow and so on and so forth. So obviously, the more you prepare, the better it would be for you.
Mr.
Yes.
President, Capital News. When we talk about developments in tourism, yes, your government has failed to secure any investors for the Marriott project.
I don't think so.
Investors.
No, there are investors in the Marriott. We have a consortium of banks. Some of these things are almost completed. And as soon as they're completed, we have also another big investor in the project itself. So your information is your assumption. You're beginning from the wrong assumption that we have failed. No. You said that we have failed, and I don't think that we have not failed. We have not failed, but at the moment, because of the ethics in business itself, we're not ready to disclose as yet. Okay?
How much money has been put into the Marriott thus far?
All of that will come out in due course. I promise you that. Yes.
Mr. President, are you disposed to the idea, the call for an independent inquiry into the Colin Harding?
Oh, sure. I'll be ready for that, because I think the reporting on that has been so irresponsible. It is amazing. I mean, let me say up front that this government is against any kind of torture. But at the same time, I don't think you hang people even before they have a trial, even before they're listened to or anything like that. And to me, I mean, I have my own personal views on many of these things. One, how long it took. Two, who are the people who are now generating it? Where do they stand? What are their political motives? And I think a lot of what is taking place is not being based on looking at the facts or waiting for results of investigation, but they're just wild, or probably trying to instigate a lot of negative things in our society. So, yes, I'll be ready for any kind of investigation.
But do you share that advice, sir?
I mean, I want to just point out too. I mean, this is becoming a pattern in our country by some people and by some media as well. Look at the Linden, what took place in Linden, and how much damage it caused in Linden, misinformation and misrepresentation. And when the report came out, it was totally contrary to what was being reported and taken as facts and truth within the system. I think, therefore, it obviously seems to be some agenda to instigate these things, because clearly, when you have an independent inquiry on these things, they're all coming out to be not true. And as soon as you see that they're coming out to be not true, there's a switching of position that are being taken all the time. So I think that let us not. I have my own views. I think it's my personal views I have on these issues. But I think that there is definitely some agenda to instigate things within our society.
But do you share the advice, sir, with your police force?
I know I heard that they are,
And they should not be hanging people before they try that.
they what?
Do you share that same advice
Uh,
to the members of your police force?
I think you should stop being cynical for
No,
the
I'm
for the
asking
change.
that.
And
That
next,
they
any
should
other,
not hang
any,
people
yeah,
before they
yes,
try
yeah,
that.
Sir, I wanted to talk.
Are you going to answer that?
yeah.
Mr. President, Kelly Evans, Starbuck News. If we go back to the issue of the local government minister for a while, has the cabinet or yourself decided on who will replace?
No, not as yet. I think I don't need to be in a big hurry there. I have a minister in place there already.
Before he had left office last year, the minister had said that he envisages local government elections to be held in this year, the third quarter of this year, and he was the government's point person for local government elections.
But that will not affect any. That will not affect any plans that they will have for local government election. Yeah,
So
yeah.
ready for local government elections this year?
Let's see what happens. A lot depends on what happens in the whole body politic in the country itself. But we are not. But let me just make it clear: we are not. We are ready for local government elections, like yesterday. We are not. We are prepared for elections anytime. We have been a party of that. But of course, as I said, it doesn't only depend on if you're ready or not, but other issues as well.
Sir, I wanted to take you back to the tourism thing. More airlines are coming in. You are expanding the airport, sir. You are expanding the airport, sir. Last year, the budget debates cut all monies that were voted for that project. You said APNU has decided to withdraw from the budget talks. Are we going to see, it's hard to ask you to guess, but do you expect the airport expansion project to be affected again this year? And what implications would that have for these new airlines who want to come in?
Well, these new airlines are coming in now on what we have, on the basis that we have. So these are not that not the question that they're waiting until a new airport is in place. They're coming in at this point in time. And that gives you an indication that if we have a new airport, a longer runway and everything else, that we can have much more, much other bigger planes flying. And Guyana can realize that, I think I mentioned before, if not at one of our press conferences, other places, that where we're situated geographically, we're very well suited to be a good hub, because we're almost in the middle of the northern and southern hemisphere. And if we do get all of these facilities in place, we can expand our operations tremendously in that regard. Yeah.
Mr. President, in relation to the award of the 5% increase in wages last year to public servants, the PPP government consistently or continuously put itself to be the party of the working class. However, for the last decade or so, the government has continued to award an increase without negotiating with the public servants. Might I ask why this is occurring?
Yeah.
If I could
Yeah, it's not desirable. I would put it that way. I would agree with you. It is not desirable for these things to happen. I hope that this year that they can have a good negotiated settlement. I would like that to happen, and I hope that they can start talking soon, so that we can have the right negotiations to have this in place. I myself feel that that this should happen as fast as possible. But negotiations is not with, you don't negotiate with yourself. It's a two-way street sometimes. Yeah, all the time then, not sometimes.
The NCN probe?
What about the NCN probe?
Can you tell us?
I don't know if I can say anything new on that at this point in time.
final question on the 5%. MP Manju Nadir, in a recent PPP press conference, said that most public servants make above the minimum wage, and that the salaries that they have is sufficient for them to cover their needs. What I want to ask you, as president, do you believe that the public service or the members of the public service make what is required for them to cover
I'm sure if I ask you if you work for enough, you will tell me no.
I don't work in public service.
Whoever you work with, and if you work in the public, if you in the private sector, I think your answer would be the same. I've seen areas where people working for bigger salaries and still asking for more increases and so on and so forth. So I think naturally people always would like to work to earn more money for themselves. I am not saying that what I'm saying is that things have come a very far way. I think former Minister Mansour Nadir did clarify and said he was taken out of context in how things were reported in the press. He was not saying that what was reported, that people are getting enough. What I would say is that I am willing to give workers as much as the country can afford. That this is not something that only has to go with your desire. I would surely like to. My desire is to give everybody as big a salary as possible, but it also has to do with ability and your capacity and your resources that you have at your disposal.
The state of the city, sir, on the condition of the nation's capital, there's been talks with City Hall about looking at that. Where we with those.
But you know, only recently, about 3 weeks ago, we put another $56 million in the city to try to help clean up the city itself. We've talked about this before. I think I mentioned before that I think that City Hall can do far, far more. The government, if you look at the billions of dollars central government has put in, apart from the fact that the City Hall has about almost 800 workers. They have a wage bill of some $80 million a month. They have equipment that don't last for more than 2-3 weeks. They pay a whole set of money in contracting out. And so I think if all of these resources are properly managed, that we can solve the problem in the city. I have asked our Ministry of Works to come up with a plan as fast as possible for the city, for us to work in the city and try to bring all of these issues that the people in the city face, to try to bring them to an end or to reduce them to a minimal as early as possible. So we're working on it. We continue to pump in a lot of resources into the city, and we will continue to do so in the future to ensure that we have a city that we can all be proud of. Yeah.
2 years down into the presidency, what are some of the regrets and what would you expect from the Donald presidency this year?
Well, my main regrets is that we have not been able to have more cooperation than in some areas. Some political parties seems to be reluctant or incapable of moving out of their own narrow political agendas. And I think that, for instance, the anti-money laundering bill, for instance, is such a crucial one that I think that because these are bills that are and laws that are only trying to bring our legislation in line with other regional legislation to ensure that there is no loophole. And so to me, it's not a complicated thing. Yet it was for 6 months. It was in a select committee before the opposition expressed that they had concerns, but they never raised one single concern in that 6 months that it was in the select committee before. And I had hoped that in this new select committee that they would work assiduously to having this bill passed. But from my reports that I'm having, it's the same type of tactics, delaying tactics that are being used in order to try to frustrate this. At the meeting, people who have been sent there by their political parties to participate, claiming that they can't take any decision on simple matters, that they have to go back to their principals for directions. When we send people to a select committee, they are empowered to make decisions there. So we're seeing the same thing. We have I am in favor, because I'm in favor of the press being present, if they will agree, if the select committee will agree for the press to sit down there instead of us having, blaming each other, let us have the press sitting there. Some stakeholders have expressed to me their desire to sit and be observers at the level of the select committee, and I am in favor of that as well. Of course, the select committee decides these things themselves, but our side, we are in favor of allowing stakeholders, observation, and the press to be there if we can get that agreement with the rest of the parties involved. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. How you doing? All right, all the best. Good. How you doing? All right? Okay. Adam, what's happening?